The movie starts with Leland Jones and William Billy Orser, who are leaving their room in a peaceful and rural motor court hotel located in the Midwest region of the United States of America. They put their luggage in their car, and Leland returns to the hotel. Billy waits for him in the car. Billy is in his 20s, but Leland is far past 50. Leland returns after a long time, and Billy asks him the reason for the delay. Leland tells him there was some issue with the maid, but it is resolved now. He sits in the car and picks up an empty jug. He asks Billy to refill the jug as a water cooler is in the back of the office. Billy goes inside and sees the dead body of the clerk lying in his chair. The housekeeper is also lying dead on the floor, surrounded by a pool of blood. At the same time, when Billy is filling the jug, a little girl, trembling with fear, unlocks the door that leads from the office to the apartment of the employee manager. Billy quietly shoots her after he has softly asked her to remain silent. The next scene shows Tom Stahl, who is the proprietor of a diner in Millbrook, Indiana. His daughter Sarah cries with fear as he has seen a ghost in her dream. Tom goes to her and consoles her, saying there is no ghost in her room. Just then, his son Jack also reaches there, and Tom tells her about Sarah's nightmare. Later, Tom's wife Edie reaches there and hugs Sarah, assuring her there is no monster. Edie is an attorney, and they have 2 kids, Jack and Sarah. Jack is 16 and Sarah is 10. Tom and Edie's affection for their children is so profound that they adore them so much. All of the patrons at the restaurant are familiar with one another and use their first names while addressing one another. This looks like a typical tiny town in the center of the United States. In the morning, Jack tells Tom he has a baseball today in school. Tom gives him instructions to play well, and he leaves for work with Edie, who drops him at the diner that he owns. He enters the diner and sees Mick and Pat are already present there. They have some lively and informal chat with each other. While playing basketball, Jack removes Bobby Singer, who is a bully, from the game. Bobby attempts to intimidate Jack into going to a fight in the locker room. Jack uses his sense of humor to talk his way out of the problem that Bobby wants to create. Edie comes to pick up Tom at the diner, and they go home together. They reach home and get intimate with each other. Jack and Judy are smoking a cigarette together, sitting in a street corner. Bobby and his friend reach there in their car and look at them from a distance. After deciding to kick Jack's ass, they come dangerously close to colliding with a pickup truck driven by Leland and Billy. When Bobby sees the expressions on their faces, he almost immediately retracts his decision to give them the finger. Leland and Billy look at them angrily and drive away. Then, they go inside Tom's diner just before it closes for the day. A calm Leland places an order for pie and coffee. Tom tells them they are closed, but Leland rudely orders them to bring a cup of coffee. Seeing his anger, Tom agrees to entertain them. He then asks Charlotte to return to her house. She leaves, and Tom starts to make coffee for them. When she is leaving, Billy follows and holds her tightly, touching her breasts. Seeing this, Tom gives them the cash register since he thinks they want to rob him. After claiming ownership of the cash, Leland pulls out his handgun. He then instructs Billy to murder Charlotte to demonstrate to Tom that they are serious about their business. When Billy attacks her, Tom smashes the pot of hot coffee that he is holding on his face, which causes him to fall to the ground, getting the gun sliding out of his hand. Tom jumps over the counter and takes his gun quickly. He then fires at Billy while Leland stabs his foot. Tom doesn't lose control and shoots both Billy and Leland in a few seconds, surprising everyone present there. As a result of his brave action, Tom is portrayed as a hero by the local media. Edie reaches the hospital, where he is watching the news on the TV. She hugs him and shows him the newspaper with his story on their cover pages. He comes out of the hospital in a wheelchair, where people warmly welcome him, clapping for his bravery. He kisses Sarah, who is waiting for him with Jack. He reaches home with his family, where a news reporter tries to interview him, but he refuses to be interviewed and gets inside. Jack and Edie find more reporters outside their home waiting to interview him, but he prefers to be with his family. A few days after suffering a minor injury, Tom is able to walk with a limp. After a few days, when Tom is hard at work at the diner, 3 dapper guys emerge from the mob of customers. They clearly aren't from the area. The boss, Mr. Fogarty, who is wearing a suit and dark sunglasses, approaches the counter and sits down. Tom welcomes them, and he requests for a coffee. He appreciates Tom for his brave act, but Tom doesn't like to talk about it. He calls Tom Joey multiple times, and Tom tells him he is not Joey. Fogarty is sure that Tom is from Philadelphia, but Tom clarifies that he has never been there. Clearly, Fogarty is under the impression that he is familiar with Tom. Edie gets irritated by their conversations and asks them to leave. Tom reaches there and asks Edie to take it easy. She goes, and he asks them to leave if they don't want to eat anything there. At this, Fogarty takes out $100 bill and gives it to Tom. He refuses to accept it and returns it to Fogarty, but he doesn't take it and leaves with his men. When they leave, Edie calls the police and tells them about Fogarty and about his men, who are later stopped by a police vehicle when they are traveling on a road that is located in a rural area. The sheriff, Sam Carney, approaches their car and asks for the driver's license. The driver shows him the license, and he asks Fogarty why they went to Tom's diner. He tells him they went there to have a cup of coffee. Sam warns them not to look around in the town as it belongs to the nice people. They appreciate his professional attitude and leave. Sam pays Tom and Edie a visit later that day and tells them about Fogarty, his criminal records, and his relationship with a criminal organization. Sam claims that they have committed several crimes on the East Coast. Then Sam asks Tom where he is in some witness plan. Tom tells him he is not in anything like that. Sam further tells him about Joey Cusack, who could not be found anywhere as per his research. But he found a man named Richie Cusack in Philadelphia, who was the leader of a crime syndicate in that city. They come to Millbrook to harass people there. Finally, he asks them to inform him immediately if they see Fogarty and his people come around there. When he leaves, Edie starts to cry, and Tom consoles her, assuring her nothing serious will happen to them. The following day, he finds a black car standing outside his diner. He rushes towards it, but it leaves immediately. He calls Edie, who is sleeping at home. He wants to inform her that Fogarty and his people are heading toward his home. When she receives his call, he asks her to get his shotgun. She rushes to take it out of the cupboard while Tom keeps running to reach home. Finally, she gets the gun and gives it to Tom, who is badly out of his breath. He is really upset, and Edie consoles him to get relaxed. Jack is terrified to see Tom in such a state and asks him for its reason, but Tom doesn't tell him anything and asks him not to worry. The following day, Edie goes shopping with Sarah, where Fogarty and his men reach. Fogarty approaches Edie casually as she pursues her and accuses him of being someone other than what he says he is. Fogarty implies that Richie Cusack is Tom's brother, and Edie advises that she question Tom about him while Tom defends himself. Bobby once again faces Tom's son Jack on that particular day and finds himself unable to flee. Jack, in a fit of wrath over Bobby and his friend's persistent taunting, brutally assaults Bobby, sending him to the hospital. Tom and his kid may cause significant trouble if pushed to their limits. After Jack gets home, they get into an argument over the event. Jack makes a sarcastic comment about Tom killing the two murderers. Edie sees Tom in the hospital the next night, pleading with him to tell the truth. She then discloses that she saw him brutally killing two of Fogarty's men with his bare fists, like a professional boxer. It has come to light that Tom, under the alias Joey Cusack, was a young hitman for the Mafia. However, he changed his identity to Tom Stahl and fled the Mafia life after an altercation with Fogarty. Tom asserts that he went on a killing binge and did it for financial gain. Despite her initial shock and anger, Edie comes to Tom's defense the following day when Sam visits their house to probe further into Fogarty. Since the members of the urban Mafia are known to be very covert, Edie says that they would never have come this far out of Philadelphia unless they were sure they were looking for the right man. Tom is on the verge of admitting his true identity as Joey Cusack when Edie jumps in to protect him. Sam agrees and departs, but he waggles his finger to indicate that he knows they are concealing something. Edie slaps and yells at Tom when Sam leaves, turning away from him in disgust. In stark contrast to their earlier, more fun lovemaking, Tom forces her down the stairs, and the two of them have an explosive sex scene. Tom is startled awake in the middle of the night by a personal phone call from Richie. By asking whether he will see him or if he needs to see him, Richie subtly implies that he will. Starting at first light, Tom embarks on a day-and-night journey to Philadelphia, where he crosses up with a young man who seems rugged at a local watering hole. The guy takes Tom to a huge estate, where he meets a self-assured man who is overjoyed to see his younger brother. Richie starts to inform Tom about the significant, costly problems and loss of prestige within the Mafia that was created by Joey's acts before he left. After briefly discussing Tom's new life, Richie tells Tom about these difficulties. Richie is asked by Tom, who has decided that he no longer wants to be a part of the life of the Mafia, to tell him what he has to do to make things right. Richie gently informs him that he may not survive. Therefore, he turns back to avoid seeing the driver as he attempts to strangle Tom by wrapping a garrote around his neck and trying to choke him. Joey, better known as Tom, can anticipate his move and insert his hand inside the garrote. Through the use of his foot, he throws himself backward off of Richie's desk, and then uses his bare hands to murder the driver as well as 2 other bodyguards. Richie's attempt to shoot Joey is unsuccessful. Following Joey outside with his revolver pulled, Richie believes Joey has fled via the front door. The last bodyguard within the home is eliminated by Joey, who then locks Richie out of the house. When Joey unlocks the door, Richie takes out his keys to open it. However, Tom is already there. There is a gunshot wound to Richie's head. As Tom makes his way home, he discovers that his family is already enjoying their meal. After being out for 2 days, he seems fatigued as he appears to be sitting at the table. As Edie seems to be praying, Sarah clears a spot for him to sit, and Edie lowers her head. Even though he is seated at the table with his parents, Jack does not utter a single word. At long last, Edie turns her gaze back to Tom, and tears stream down her cheeks again. A sense of sorrow can be seen on Tom's face as he stares back at her. While Tom and Edie's expressions suggest that their relationship has changed, they may still end up staying together. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more movies like this.